You do look good. Hey, this is Chris Anderson, Blackberry Ridge Development. I'm here with my friend and business partner, Tom Ciccarone.
Hey, everybody.
Tom, I want you to see that your name is spelled correctly.
I spelled it.
Oh, that might be why.
Of course it is.
Tom's my business partner and very good friend, and I wanted to bring you guys an update on our wholesaling business. For those of you that don't know, I have multiple businesses that are all involved in real estate. One of those businesses, Blackberry Ridge Development in particular, right here, is a wholesaling company, right? We do property acquisition and we acquire contracts, and one of two things happens after we acquire a contract. I either keep it in one of my other business entities as a rental or a flip, or we wholesale that property to somebody else. I work in specific municipalities and counties, so a lot of times we acquire properties that are outside of my target markets, or maybe we have more properties than I have the capacity to do. So we wholesale those properties. I said that Tom was my business partner. Tom actually manages the acquisition side of that business, right? That's his primary responsibility, is finding, analyzing, and putting under contract real estate deals. So I wanted to bring you guys. So Tom, thanks for joining me.
Sure.
Super awesome to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is kind of a little bit of play acting because we actually shot this just a little while ago, and the recording didn't come out that well. So we just were like, screw it, let's do it live. So that's this. I wanted to bring you on because we have 3 wholesale deals prior to the coronavirus outbreak, right?
Yep.
So we have 3 deals that we were in the middle of that were happening when the kind of the height of the coronavirus really kicked in. Like, it was kind of in the news, but it was not really a thing. So I wanted to bring you guys some updates on them. So without giving away the address and the buyers, because there's some people that weren't able to perform. We don't want anybody to feel bad because this is just a thing that's happening. I did want to kind of give you an update on the status of our business and kind of what's happening, which is what I promised. So Tom, let's start with the property in Washington. Tell us about the property.
Okay, so everybody, Tom Ciccarone, like Chris said, I'm his partner when it comes to Blackberry Ridge Development. I handle all of our acquisitions, go out in the field, check the properties, put numbers to them, make sure everything makes sense. So property we have in Washington, Chris and I had done some direct marketing. We had done a mailer to absentee owners, and we had a couple other pieces of criteria out to the Washington area. And this was going to be for Chris to acquire more properties, and then if anything we didn't have the capacity to close on, we were going to wholesale out. One of the properties that we got under contract was a 4-family. Can you hear me okay? They're literally power washing right outside my window.
Well, we're doing it. Yeah, I hear Whatever. You. We do hear the power washing.
That's okay. So it's a 4-family property in Washington. The sellers owned it for 40 years. He lives almost an hour away from the property. It is a cash cow. It's bringing in about $3,500 a month right now. It should be bringing in close to, if not $5,000 a month, the way it's set up.
Yeah, so this is a good one. So I look for properties that fall into 2 categories, right? Category 1 is that it's a distressed property. Those are properties that are in poor condition, significant updates are needed, often barely livable or not livable at all. This property is in category 2, right? So we have distressed properties and kind of distressed owners. The distressed owners are folks that either are poor operators or they're people who want to get out of the game, right? So this is a guy who's owned a building for 40 years. He doesn't want to own it anymore. He wants to retire. And this is the big part of his retirement. He bought it with long-time tenants. The guy hasn't done a rent increase since like 2011 or something like that. And so here's a property that we put under contract for $250,000. We're direct with the seller. It was a result of some marketing that we did. Was this the postcard?
This is the postcard. We did, it was like 3 postcards. No, it was not that postcard.
So this is, let's see if I can find it. This is my favorite postcard, right? That's a picture of Tom and his dog Burke, and so we mail these out. That was a mailer that was we mailed during the height of the coronavirus here because it was scheduled. So
it was an 8-week staggered mail out to about 12,000 people. Little did we know part of it would be in the coronavirus.
Yeah, so we were like, let's spend 12 grand on mailers. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So we did a mailer before that to Washington, and we were looking for absentee owners, and we found some, and this was one of them. And so we put the property under contract for $250,000. I own in this area, I don't know, 12 or 15 buildings, properties, mostly 2-family houses, a couple of single-family houses. It's a very active market for us. We acquire. We're looking to acquire more up there. It's a great market. And so here's a. Hi Jamal. It's good to see you too, buddy. So we put this property under contract. It is an operator who's been in at this building for a long time. He took really good care of it, but there's a big upside, right? Because he's not a great operator. There's a big upside. So he has 4 units. He hasn't done rent increases in like 7, 8, 9 years. Tenants are long-term tenants. He paid to subdivide all the utilities. So there's 5 electric meters, 5 gas meters. He didn't subdivide the heat or hot water. So the landlord pays all the heat for the building. So there's an opportunity to raise rents and capture some of that utility money by sending that off to the tenant side.
He's paying about $3,500 a month in utilities alone.
$3,500 a year.
A year, I'm sorry. A year. Yeah.
And so he, the other thing that's interesting is because it's way under market rents, like you could do a staggered rent increase, which is something that we do pretty often. This property is currently collecting like $3,400 and change, I think you had said. It should be almost $5,000, and that's $5,000 and not paying the utilities. So there's a big upside here. We were wholesaling the property for $275 or $280, whatever it was, and we had a buyer. But there's a challenge, right? What was the challenge on this one, Tom?
Challenge here was the appraisal. So Chris has done enough business in that area. I've acquired enough properties in that area to know what ARVs are. Initially, it was around that 260, 270 mark for 2 families. That's anywhere between 4 and 6 bedrooms. With time, one of the higher comps fell off. Your appraisal now is anywhere between 220 and 230, sometimes up to 250. Chris and I took a look at the unfortunate part is that there are no 4 families that have sold recently in the Washington area. The next town over, there's a 4 family that sold for about 420, 430 recently. Very similar in condition. It had a little bit extra to it. So, based off the numbers that Chris and I were going off of, we figured $80,000 to $100,000 per unit. We'd feel good at. At $80K, 4 units, you're at $320,000. We thought maybe it would be around that $350 to $375. On an income approach basis, it works. What's unfortunate for us here is that it's a 4 family. A 4 family is based off comps. If it was a 5 unit, the income approach would work all day long.
And so we ran into a bit of a problem, right? The first appraiser that the bank had sent, that the lender had sent, literally refused to appraise the property. Right?
He didn't show up the day of and said there's
no comps. We're not doing it. We're like, there's comps. There's just not an exact comp, right? This is not a small municipality. This is actually a fairly good-sized municipality. It just so happens that there's 2 families that sold, a ton of 2 families that sold, 1 or 2 3 families that sold, but no 4 families sold in the last year. So it's a challenge, right? And so we, there's a thing in real estate. We get paid because we do hard things, right? If everything was easy, then everybody would do it, and money would drip from the trees, but it doesn't. We work for it. So the buyer ordered a second appraisal. So we eventually that lender got an appraiser to come out, and the appraisal came in low. It was like $300,000. And then he ordered a second appraisal with a different lender, and he got an appraisal of $325,000. So the challenge is that we thought it would come in at the 350, 375 mark. So now the buyer had to come up with $25,000 more. And this is right as the market's starting to collapse. The stock market's down. All the money's pulling back. Now the lender goes, we're not lending. So now what do you do, right? Our buyer needs more money. He doesn't have a lender. So right now we're stuck. So we're talking to the property owner about the idea of owner financing, trying to have them hold a note for a period of 6 months to a year, maybe as long as a year and a half, just so that we can close on the property and move it out. If I can do that, then I'm just going to keep the property. Right? Because one of the things that's happened to me is just like everybody else is that my business partners, the people that give me money, they're all pulling back too and going, oh, I don't know, this is scary. So that's a conversation. So that one's one that's still out there. Hey, listen, if you're looking for a 4-family property and you're a cash buyer or somebody with a good amount of capital, this is a great deal. This is a hands down, a slam dunk. If you want to lend me $100,000, give me a call. I'm in. I'd love to talk about it. So the second property, and this one's going better, right? We have a 2-family in Phillipsburg. So
yeah, 2-family in Phillipsburg. We actually got this off market as well. This is through one of our connections. It's another realtor in that area. He owns a bunch of properties. He just didn't have the financial capacity to bring it down at the time. And he said, hey, these guys are looking to sell, no frills. It's cash flowing right now. So we took it under contract. We did the home inspection. We did the walkthrough with 2 individual buyers. One of them wanted it. The good part of this one is that it's a cash transaction. There's no financing in place, nothing that we have to worry about there. This all started to go down right around the beginning of the coronavirus. I think we did the walkthrough and it was still kind of weird. We didn't know if we should have masks and gloves on.
Yeah. You remember we actually stood outside. We're like, how far apart should we stand?
We didn't know what we're doing. So
are we allowed to shake hands? I don't even know. Here's hand sanitizer.
We didn't shake hands. I remember that. It was weird. So the tricky part is that even with coronavirus, deals still have to follow a certain process.
Right.
You still have to get a certificate of occupancy, smoke cert. And in this instance, we still had to get bulk sale. The seller is an LLC. Bulk sale protects the buyer from any type of tax liability that the seller may fail to perform on.
Right.
There were some nerves there. I took it upon myself to file the bulk sale with a return address to the attorney. This was filed on the 26th of March. So technically they have 10 days to respond, 10 business days.
10 business days, by the way.
10 business days to respond. So I was nervous with the coronavirus, who's shut down, who's not shut down. Ironically enough, it came through on, I think, the 11th or 12th day you received it. No liability there. Sellers are good to go. The buyer's good to go. The issue that we have had is with the CO. And I've seen this through my realtor's office that, different municipalities are starting to work with buyers. A lot of inspectors are quarantined. They don't feel comfortable going in a home that's occupied. If the home was vacant, it might be a different story. So again, thanks to our contact in Phillipsburg, he knew the individuals over there that are inspectors. And they said, hey, you got to do X, Y, and Z. Got to pay a rental registration fee for the next year. And we'll be able to get it for you. So we're actually in the process of doing that now. We've been promised to have the CO tomorrow. And closing at this point, fingers crossed, is set for Friday. So that's a win.
So that's interesting. So New Jersey's law allows sellers to self-certify for the purpose of smoke search. So like you'll see that. So you don't see that in like Bergen County and stuff like that, but we do a lot of business in Warren County. And in the larger municipalities, Phillipsburg, Belvedere, and Washington, they always do the smoke search. But the smaller municipalities that allow the state Department of the DCA to Department of Community Affairs to do the smoke certifications for them. So the town doesn't actually have their own inspector. They allow the state to do it for them. The state picks and chooses the ones they want to inspect. So you go online, you say, yes, I did everything. And then 1 out of every 5 or whatever, they actually come out and inspect. So the state ordinance allows for it to be self-certified. So what these towns are doing is they're basically, hey, if we don't have to go out and meet with people, we're going to try not to. So if it's an unoccupied property, they do the inspection. If it's an occupied property, no inspections. They're just not doing it. A lot of building departments are kind of doing something similar. If it's a minor workplace, like if it's a minor job, they're allowing the contractor to self-certify in some cases, or to close the permits and be like, hey, we're all done. Here's a photo. If it's and that's minor work. So if you're tiling a bathroom and swapped out a shower valve, which is minor work, a lot of the towns are not wanting to inspect that. There's no reason to. If it's major rough plumbing, then they're definitely going to inspect, but they're looking for vacant properties. One municipality we do business with asks us to have no one on the job site when they show up. They just want the door unlocked. They go in, they leave. They don't want to talk to anybody or see anybody. We'll leave a sticker in the window. And so they're trying to protect their staff, right? Like, I don't know what the average age of an inspector is in the state of New Jersey, but I can tell you from spending a lot of time with them, they're not young guys or young women. They're mostly, we're semi-retired, former contractors, a little bit older. They're in the danger zone sometimes. One of the officials that I know, the guy's 70. You know what I mean? Like, that's, they need to be careful. We all need to be careful, but they need to be extra careful. So that's good news. So that deal's set to close, right? So that's a high five. We're going to get that one done. But we got a third deal, right? This one's even iffier, right? So tell us about the third deal.
Third deal is over in Manville. This is one that actually got brought to Chris from another realtor that we work with. It's different. It's not your cookie cutter deal. It is a 5-unit property, mixed use. It's got 3 residential units. The rehab on the residential units to get them up and rented is going to be a little bit less than $100,000.
Actually, so the $100,000 should actually cover all of it, including the commercial.
There we go. Stand mistaken. Should cover everything. So when we started looking at this property, it was a couple of months back, coronavirus. I think Chris joked on the original filmed version that we thought Corona was just a beer.
The good old days when Corona was just a beer.
It was just starting to form. And, when we took a look at anytime we get a property under contract, we got to do our due diligence, look at the market, see what's going on. There weren't many, there weren't many retail commercial spaces available like this. So our thoughts were, it's on Main Street. You're probably going to get it rented out within a year. There was already a tenant that was interested in one of the units. So it would have been okay. The rents themselves will probably cover the acquisition and renovation costs. Right, Chris?
Yeah, so the 3 residential units are probably able to, not probably, they'll cover almost all, if not all, of the carrying costs of the property. So that's a plus, right? So there's a significant upside. So this is one that I'm still really interested in. The problem is, same problem. I have my business partners have some financial concerns related to the market. They're pulling back money. So here's a deal that you can buy for $350,000. The appraised value on this property, once it's performing, should be $600 to $650. The 3 apartments you could rent in a hot minute. As a matter of fact, there's 2 2-bedroom apartments. I actually probably have a tenant for one of them already. Actually, I know I have a tenant for one of them already. The problem that we have is financial, right? So lenders are pulling back. People don't have as much money, so right now we're forced to sit on it. So this one's hard because there's a bank on the other side. We've gone through all our inspections. They have a $10,000 deposit of mine. So our hope is that we get our $10,000 back, or I have to renegotiate. Listen, if you're in the mixed use space, this is a great deal. Main Street isn't going away. There's going to be a struggle in retail space, right? There's going to be a lot of fall off, and some of these businesses are going to close. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, people have to go someplace to eat, pick up food, dentist office. There's all the service businesses. Barbershops are still going to be a thing. Retail's going to exist, right? We can't we can't take it away, right? And most of Main Street retail is service now, and that's going to be forever. There's nothing that we can do that will take that away. So, but for the next year and a half, 2 years, there's going to be a struggle there. So it might be a little bit harder to find a tenant. You might have to work with somebody. But the beauty of this particular property is that the residential rents pay for the majority of the building. So everything you get on the first floor, you can go under market rents and make money. And if you do it right, a $350,000 purchase, $100,000 rehab, property's worth $600,000, you could probably cash out almost all your money. Very little capital left behind. But that one's, so we're stuck on that. So if you're interested in getting into real estate and you're interested in investing in a property, I got two great deals. If you're looking to do stuff, I'm looking for, maybe someone to work with. If you're somebody that I know, I'm pretty picky, but if you're somebody that I know, I'd love to talk to you. If you're somebody that's looking to invest and looking to acquire properties, I'd love to do it with you. I'd love to help you. On the construction side, on the mixed use property, the $100,000 budget is a real one. It might be 110, depending upon exactly what you want to do. I could probably have that done in about 6 weeks. I own a construction company. I'd be happy to do the work. Actually, I'd be thrilled to do the work. Give me something to do. So give us a call, right? But that's our updates, right? So that's the three deals we have. So let's talk about what we're doing, right? Are you looking for more deals? Are you trolling the MLS? What have you been up to?
Yeah, so it's different these days. Much of my time prior to this was spent out in the field looking at properties. I usually get out of the house, see 5 to 7 properties a day, and a lot of what Chris and I do is based off the MLS. Put a lot of offers in based off of the numbers that we need them at, and eventually some work out, many don't. That's kind of how we do. So for me, things have slowed down tremendously. Still look at the MLS with deals that come in. Multifamilies are going to be out there. Rentals are a little bit more key in our business right now. There is some uncertainty on the flip side. The buyers are different now. You can't necessarily close with hard money unless you have good relationships in place. So for me personally, I focused a little bit on my real estate presence, my realtor presence, not entirely getting into the residential side, but I was born and raised in Branchburg. I like this community. I coach baseball here. Most of my family lives here. So I just wanted to create my name in this area. If I can help people, awesome. I know what to look for in homes. I've seen enough out there. I know what the markets are. So if you see my Facebook page, like it, help me out there. Aside from that, I joked with Chris. I built a swing set with my brother this weekend. The instruction manual said it was going to take 14 to 18 hours. And I think I put on Instagram, I was like, this thing's going to be done by sundown. It took every part of 17 hours to do. And it is the first and last swing set I'll ever put together. And on top of that, I'm working on some personal growth. I'm big into yoga. I've also been reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Read that a couple of times already. It's always good to have a refresher and just kind of keep up mentally. It's an interesting time. Chris and I talk a couple of times a week. I watch a lot of these videos on Facebook to see what other people are doing. So it's different. We're going to come out stronger after this, but it's definitely a lot of people are going to have to pivot on what they're doing to make some money. So
yeah, so I think that's what we're all doing, right? We're looking for the next thing, right? Particularly if you're in real estate full time, like this is how I derive all of my income. It's a challenging time. So listen, this is a conversation. So if you guys have any questions or want to see Tom again, you're going to see Tom again because it's my show.
Thanks, Billy.
Like us, share, comment. Listen, it really, if you haven't liked BlackberryRidge's page, please do. It really helps. If you haven't shared our content, please share our content with your friends. Encourage them to, follow us. We're also going to be starting up a YouTube page soon and starting to create some content for that. One of the things that I figured out is we've been doing meetup events for over a year now. I have a ton of content that we can put up on YouTube. So we're going to start filming those and putting those on YouTube. So if you've been to our events, you'll start to see some of that the speaking that I do. You'll be able to see some of those PowerPoints and stuff again. But please like us, share, comment, all the above. It's good for the Facebook algorithm. And we're just trying to meet more people and talk. If you're interested in being on the show and you want to come and talk to me, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. If I know you really well or I don't know you at all, I'd love to put you on a Facebook Live and let's just have a conversation about what's going on out there. But other than that, listen, my name is Chris Anderson. I'm from Blackberry Ridge Development. I'm with Tom Ciccarone, also Blackberry Ridge Development. Everybody stay safe. Happy Corona days.
Thanks, everybody. Chris, thanks for having me.
Talk to you later, bud.
Talk to you guys.